I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think this is going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. Greetings from the crack of dawn. Wow, I'm tired. We were up late watching the freaking Pump Fake pod last night. That show's awesome. Yeah, someone said, first time DGen here. Bro, there's a hazing process. You got to give us your top bet in the comments. If it doesn't hit, get the hell out and never come back. So, Brandon Casito, we need a lock in the comments immediately. Joking. Hope everyone had a nice Friday night. I had a good one and went 3-1. Couple plus money hits in there. I bet the Sixers Nuggets over heavy. Dayton at plus money. Gotta love those Chicago Bulls. So yeah, great Friday night, great week, great few weeks. I'm on a nice roll here. This is not gonna last forever, but it's nice when we're in it. You know, let's enjoy our stay here. Ton of basketball on today. Ton. We have so much college basketball. Also, there's 9 NBA games. I got 3 NBA bets I like tonight. I'm psyched. I'm stoked to the max about today. I'm going to be watching basketball for about 14 consecutive hours directly after this. So let's go ahead and get into it because we have a lot of games. And the first one is a big one. Florida. Oh, Casito responds. Gators +5.
Of course.
That's his lock. First game
I agree
up.
with him. 100%.
First game up, Florida, Tennessee. Give me the Vols. Put Tennessee up for me. But let's Scoop go first. He likes Florida. Whatever the most square bet is, Scoop's going to be on that. So.
I guess who's leading your college basketball on your site? That would be me. Because sometimes the square is the right side.
It's always the right side. The last
and you
month.
should probably pick them. What happened in Florida the last time these two played? A 30-point dog walking by Florida. Now Tennessee's at home, coming off back-to-back losses to Kentucky and Auburn. Me and Toast said earlier this season, Tennessee's not close to the top team in this conference. Defensively, yes, they're one of the best, but the offense is just bad. So that Florida game was the only game they were blown out from. So maybe they'll fare better at home, but it's just a bad matchup for them. The defense isn't a problem. It's translating those defensive stops into points. Florida's a solid defense as well. They're holding teams at 28% from 3. They're not shooting badly themselves at all. And their rebounding margin is almost 10 on average. This game won't be a 30-point blowout again, but I think the line's kind of ridiculous. Last game, Florida out-rebounded them by 20. Is that going to happen again? Probably not 20, but I feel like it's still going to be at least a 10 or 11 rebound advantage for Florida. Florida should own this matchup again. Tennessee shot 21% from last game against Florida. They have to shoot better here, sure, but Florida doesn't have a terrible defense, especially inside. And you're telling me you're going to rely on Ziegler, who's probably not going to even play, right?
He's not playing. He's out.
He's not playing. So the only person worth shooting is Chaz Lanier. And so I think Florida's going to hone in on him, and it's going to be a long game for Tennessee's offense. I personally don't understand this line. I think the wrong team is favored here. Tennessee's giving, obviously they're home, but even though Tennessee's at home, I get this is a revenge game, blah, 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 but 5 points. Maybe if this was a pick 'em, I consider Tennessee, but I'm definitely taking the points in the better team.
So Proppy, for the pick graphics, it goes by time, and it doesn't have AM and PM. So the 12 p.m. games, the 4 12 p.m. games are going to be at the back. If I saw you scrolling, that's why. So the first 4 games are going to actually be at the back because they're 12. So, yeah, everyone in the world is taking Florida plus the points. Everyone. The bet I actually placed, by the way, is Tennessee, Duke, St. John's moneyline parlay -121.
Yeah, I didn't bet this game just because I was kind of waiting to hear the Ziegler news, and obviously that came down this morning that he's not going to play. The fact that this line is still 4.5, regardless 4.5 or 5, just tells me that the books really aren't worried about giving Florida tickets out. So, again, I haven't been very spot on with this, but it seems like Florida getting points at such a huge plus number is an absolute gift. So if they're giving out gifts this morning early, so be it. I would lean Tennessee personally.
Providence versus the Johnnies.
Yeah.
This is another leg of the money line parlay I have down. I got St. John's money line in with Tennessee. I know Toast was thinking about laying the big number. I don't think he actually did.
Oh, I did it.
You did it?
Oh, I did it last night, baby.
So Toast is on the Johnnies.
Yeah, I really like St. John's in this spot here. I think that Providence looks a little bit better than they really are. Since the beginning of January, only 2 losses to Creighton, who's been playing really good basketball lately, and then Villanova on the road. That was just a 2-point loss. So it also I feel like it looks like Providence is playing better basketball, but 2 of their wins were versus Seton Hall. Everybody beat Seton Hall. One of their wins was against Georgetown, and I don't think that Georgetown is nearly the team that we thought they were at least a month ago. And then the other win was against Butler, who, I mean, Butler can be decent at times, but that team is still 2-9 in conference. So again, nothing really special there. And then you have this St. John's team that continues to play well. They had a little bit of a scare against Xavier at home the last time they were out here. I know that they haven't been winning games by a ton of margin, but at the same time, they're going to be this Providence team that they're playing runs at such a slow pace, and offensively is just really not there. And St. John's defensively is one of the best teams in the country, not to mention by far the best defense in that conference. I think that the Johnnies going to try to run this Providence team out the door, or out the building today. They're the best offensive team. I'm sorry, the best offensive rebounding team in the conference as well. They can't shoot free throws to save their life, but the way that they get buckets in transition, and they're just so gritty. I think that St. John's is going to absolutely dog walk Providence here today. I think St. John's wins by 15 plus.
Yeah, I got St. John's money line in the parlay. The reason I didn't lay it is can't always trust St. John's offensively, but I'm pretty sure you can trust the St. John's defense. Providence should really struggle to score points in this game. I think when we were talking about it last night, I said I like Providence to not reach 50 or some shit.
Yeah, I was
like
going to say, I think you said Providence team total under, which I don't hate either.
Yeah, so I don't see how Providence is going to score points, but I also don't, like I said, I don't 100% trust St. John's on the offensive side of the court. What about Scoop?
Yeah, second in a row that I disagree with you guys. I am taking Providence. This line is too much. I know Providence can't shoot it all. Like Toe says, they barely beat bottom feeders Seton Hall. Devian Smith and Kadari Richmond are going to be really hard to contain. I agree. Providence does have some depth, though. Depth meaning 9 solid average players. There's no one true player that leads Providence. Really, though, I'm banking on the inconsistency of St. John's, which Kyle kind of said. I know they're 18-3. They're not inconsistent winning, obviously, but Xavier, they struggled at home. Georgetown, they struggled at home. Nova by 12, Butler by 8. These are all at home in MSG. They're not putting teams away like this. So as good as St. John's defense is, I feel like Floyd and Pierre are going to get some open looks personally. What's funny is Providence is 5-5 in the Big East, and they're still tied for 5th. That's just how weak this conference is this year. This is also the second game these two played. St. John's barely squeaked by Providence earlier in the year, and that was being down by like 15.5. Again, inconsistency for St. John's. Let's not forget, St. John's is also 340th in three-point shooting. They're shooting about 29% on the year. I don't see them pulling out to some massive lead. They make their way on the defensive side of the ball, which you both said, not offense. So I think Providence can compete down low with St. John's most of the game here. They're pretty comparable in rebound margin, which is a big reason why St. John's only has 3 losses on the year. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I get that St. John's is really solid defensively, but I think it's going to be competitive.
For the record, you said you disagree with me. I am not laying the number. I took St. John's money line in a parlay. So pump the brakes there.
Providence outright.
By the way, Tennessee's that just dropped to 3.5. Some Florida money coming in. Next up, Pitt Wake. I don't have the nutsack to tail toast on this one, but I do think Wake's going to win. I think Toast kind of has a hard on for this Wake Forest team. He took them. What was that game you took them in like plus 8.5, and everyone hated it?
Duke.
That was a Duke game.
Pretty sure it was
No,
Duke.
No, it wasn't Duke. It wasn't Duke. Hold on. I'll tell you
That was the last game they just played, right?
Yeah, it was Louisville. So, yeah, Toast is going back to the well here with this Wake Forest team that he's obsessed with.
First of all, I'm not obsessed with
Yes,
Wake.
you have a weird thing for him, bro.
I don't. I just think this is a very good matchup for them today, playing a Pittsburgh team that, yes, has played well over the last couple weeks, but at the same time, who have they beaten and who have they lost to? Yes, they lost to Duke and Louisville. I'll give them that. But Pittsburgh losing to Florida State at home or on the road is not a good sign for me. Losing at Clemson, not nearly as bad, but at home in overtime, not really great. And then you go on and beat a Syracuse team that's not really good. And I watched that Syracuse game start to finish. I was at the gym that game. That was an early game last Saturday, and they looked like crap in that game. They only won that game by 4. They definitely could have lost that game. That game was like a 1-point game with 45 seconds to go or something like that. And then they go and they get North Carolina, who I think everybody can agree that North Carolina is a pretty bad basketball team right now, and they squeak out that win by 8. And now they got to play a Wake Forest team that had been since the beginning of the year, January, by the way, not the start of the year, but the calendar year, has been playing really good basketball. Solid win. I mean, they beat that Syracuse team that I was just talking about by 10. They beat NC State. Everybody beats Miami. They beat Stanford by 13. Virginia Tech by double digits. They beat this North Carolina team as well. And then they lost to Duke and Louisville. Louisville, one of the best teams in the conference. Duke, the best team in the conference. And now they get this Pittsburgh game at home. Not to mention the fact they have guys like Hunter Silas, who got kicked out of their last game with only 24 minutes and 13 points. I think that Wake Forest can definitely score with Pittsburgh here. I think they have the size to play with them. I think Hunter Silas has a good night, and I think Wake wins this basketball game.
You took the money line, right?
Yeah.
Scurry's in the comments said he likes the under 139.5.
I can see that.
Scoop.
Yeah, third in a row. I disagree with Toast. Next game's going to be 4. I already know. I'm taking Pittsburgh here. I think Wake Forest is a garbage team personally, right up there with Chapel Hill. Speaking of, that's who pitches beat. I think they'll go into Wake and beat them outright. Jalen Rowe has been awesome lately. He's been averaging 20 plus the last 5 games. I can't really hit a 3, but he gets to the basket well, and really this Pitt team has been getting to the line a lot. Wake Forest does have a solid defense. They held North Carolina to 66, Duke to 63. But I think Pitt's a more balanced team. And I mean, Leggett, Cohen, they're both capable scorers. And as good as Wake has been defensively, Pitt did hold Carolina to 21 points, turned them over a bunch. They're 3-1 the last 4 against Wake. They really have Wake's number, I think. And really, I don't think Wake is, like I said, that good. I get that they're beating teams they're supposed to, but they're losing against the top of the conference like Duke, Clemson, Louisville. And yeah, I know they're 10-1 at home, but this team still can't shoot. They're 271st in effective field goal percentage. They're shooting under 50% in the season. And they're 349th in three-point percentage. They're shooting 28%. There's only 5 teams worse than them in all of college basketball, all of them in mid-major teams. This is a team that they just can't shoot the ball at all. So I'm going with the better offense here. I'm going with the more balanced team. I like Pitt here for sure.
I'll side with Toast. You can put Wake up for me. I think Wake wins. Pitt didn't look all that great. I bet Pittsburgh in that North Carolina game, and I was not impressed by the performance.
Cash, though.
It did cash, but I felt like a lucky duck to cash it. Next. Washington, Minnesota. Feels like a sharp spot to take Minnesota. But then when I went to do it, it was like a look yourself in the mirror moment. Like, am I about to lay 5 points with Minnesota? Minnesota sucks. I think the line's a little telling, though. Washington can't play defense. I kind of want to bet Minnesota here, but I can't lay 5 points with a bad team. It's just, yeah, I can't. I'm having trouble pulling the trigger on it. But I do think Minnesota is the side if you have the stones to pull the trigger. So you can put Minnesota up for me, but I didn't actually bet this one.
Go ahead, Scoop. Spill your Minnesota nonsense.
Yeah,
Scoop's on Minnesota?
Yeah.
This is like my second best bet of the day.
What?
Minnesota for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
For sure? For
Oh, you're going to take Washington, who's 1-9 in the Big Ten?
1-9 in the Big Ten? Who has Washington played that worries you that they're not going to play well? Illinois, Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue, Oregon, UCLA? Come on. It's not like they're playing like shitty-ass teams like Penn State, Northwestern, Nebraska, Rutgers, all these other teams. They're at the bottom of the conference, but they've literally played the best 5 teams in the conference.
Strong words there, Scoop.
Yeah, Washington is fucking garbage. This is a gross game. I'm taking Minnesota. They're awesome at home. 3-7 in the Big Ten. Monsters. Really, though, Minnesota is a good home team for the most part anyway. Mostly recently. Beat 2 ranked teams at home in their last 2, Michigan and Oregon at home. Got killed by Michigan State away, but that game was over from the jump. But for the most part, they played pretty good basketball. Before that, 3 straight wins, only a 6-point loss at Maryland. I think they can win this game comfortably if they do play like they played the last previous games. It's crazy to think Washington is this bad, but they really are. They're not shooting well at all. They're 262nd in field goal percentage, which is last in the Big Ten. But unlike Wake, they're also a piss-poor defensive team as well. They did let UCLA shoot over 50% from three. That's UCLA. UCLA is also garbage. They're 17th in defensive field goal percentage. They're 16th in the Big Ten in rebounding. Osabor is really the only person that's worth a damn on his team. But still, they're 17th out of 18 in Big Ten in scoring offense, bottom three in like every statistical stat category you could think of. So although Minnesota was out-rebounded and pretty much out everything against Michigan State, this is definitely a nice bounce-back game here for them. In reality, though, these are two of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Both are terrible down low, but Minnesota at least shows some defensive presence. That really should be all they need here. West Washington sucks shooting the ball to begin with, so if Minnesota makes a few stops, this should be an easy cover for Minnesota. So I would definitely take Minnesota here.
An easy cover. Easy. Okay, let's not an easy cover. I'm on your side, but let's chill. It's Minnesota.
Okay, we'll see.
It's definitely hard to go on the road and score points against PJ Fleck. He's going to have his team prep. Vandenbosch is in the comments, taking a break from watching The Office. Yo, that was so funny last night. Oh, it's funny. Let's move on to the next game.
Well, I can't say my piece.
Didn't get to talk about it. That's because it's just a bad bet.
That's okay. No, we can move on. We can move on. I didn't have a bet in the game, but I just think it's absolutely wild that we're going from everybody in the world is going from getting points with Minnesota. Now they're laying 5 points at home.
I get it. I
like,
agree with
sharp
that sentiment.
or not.
I'm
like,
not the one saying easy
out.
cover. That's Scoop. But I'm on Scoop's side.
Set it and forget it.
Not to mention the fact, all I want to point out too is that Washington has also faced much better defenses than Nebraska's defense over the last 5 games. Illinois 12, Sparty 15, Michigan 33, Purdue 28, Oregon 48, UCLA 17. What's Minnesota, like 100?
Ooh, oh no, I'm so scared.
I'm just saying, it's a big difference.
Missouri.
Washington.
We're on to the SEC next. Missouri, Mississippi State. I have no idea what to do with this one. I listened to the Pump Fake 5 talk about this game last night. I listened to Toke talk about this game last night, and I still don't even have a freaking lean. No, I didn't hear anything compelling. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I want to play Missouri just because I love this Mississippi State team. I think we've been on record. I've been on record with them. Obviously that Alabama game really sucked. I really wanted to throw my middle finger to the world on that one, but Missouri's been playing really good basketball lately. I mean, their only loss is to Texas. I mean, I understand that Mississippi State's a pretty decent team and they're in almost a desperate spot. But there's just no way I'm laying 6.5 points to this Missouri team until they show me that they're not playing good basketball. I mean, the Texas game you can say whatever about, but I mean, the only other loss in conference is against Auburn. So, and they looked really good against Mississippi. So they have Tennessee on deck. So maybe it's like a little bit of a look ahead spot. I don't really believe in all that. I lean the points here with Missouri. There's no way in hell I'm laying 6.5 with Mississippi State, regardless of the spot.
You can put Missouri up for me also, but I don't really know. I'm just making a pick. Scoop?
Yeah, last time I talked Missouri, I said I didn't believe in them until they beat someone. They shut me up after beating Ole Miss at home by 8. But I know Toast is high on Starkville. I'm still not, even when they're home. I would lean Mississippi State. I also wasn't super high on Missouri. Like I said, they've shown they can compete. Josh Hubbard, though, I think is going to have a huge game here. I think Missouri's kind of mismatched there. I know Tamar Bates and Caleb Grill have been good. They've been awesome, especially Bates. He looked great against Ole Miss. But I'm going to grab Mississippi State here. I think I've went against them all year and was pretty profitable doing that. But this is a good spot for them. Coming off a hard game against Alabama. There's just no way Missouri's going to come into the hump and winning this game. Mississippi State's defense is still one of the best. They held their own against Alabama. I mean, Alabama didn't put up 100. That's something. So State's going to win the rebounding game here, especially defensively. They're going to limit Missouri in their second chance opportunities. Missouri's 1-4 on the road this year. Their one win was Florida, which was impressive. But Mississippi State's last 4 losses were against top 10 teams. That Butler game withstanding, this team's a decent team. I don't think they're amazing by any means, but they do get the 3rd most shots off in the SEC. They're volume shooters. They're going to get their chances. They're scoring 1.17 points per possession, which is in the top 40. And they're a really tough offensive rebounding team. I just think it's a bad spot for Missouri. And if Hubbard can go off like he did against Bama, I think this is going to be a double-digit win for Mississippi State.
Are you guys going to agree on one single game? Holy
We'll see.
You've disagreed on every single game so far. Let's move on to the next one, Prop Beaver. And the next one, I'm actually down to add this bet. We were talking about this one last night. You can get an Arizona State team total under at 70.5 right now on DraftKings. You got to pay minus 120 for it. Arizona State team total under. In my opinion, if Arizona State's going to put up a fight here, it's because Arizona's going to be struggling to hit their shots. So I think one constant would be Arizona's defense travels in the rivalry game. Am I way off there?
I don't think you're way off. Scoop, do you have something on this game? Because I want to play Arizona, but I don't.
Hold on. Let's get Prop Beaver because I didn't give him this pick graphic, so he doesn't have this one. He has to type it. So it's Prop Beaver. It's Arizona State team total under 70.5. I think I'm going to bet this right now, actually.
I mean, yeah, I do think that if Arizona State's going to stay in the game, they're going to have to slow this game down. They're not going to want Arizona to be out and running. So I think that Arizona's just a better basketball team, and I've been continuing to make money with this team. So there's part of me that wants to bet them, but the line's moving down a little bit. I think it started at 7.5 last night. It's down to 6.5 now. Obviously, Arizona coming off the Caleb Love game where we all know what happened in that game, and then they ended up winning in overtime. So could be a definite flat spot. But at the same time, this Arizona State team, really hard to get there. I mean, I just don't think that they've been playing well. I think they looked good at the beginning of the season. Those back-to-back wins versus New Mexico and St. Mary's made some teams some people really believe in this team. But since then, the only wins against UMass, Colorado, West Virginia, and Colorado twice. So it's really hard for me to get there with this team. But again, I get the spot. It's really hard to lay it with Arizona as well in a rivalry game at that. So it would be Arizona or a pass for me. But like I said, I didn't bet it.
Do you think this line is suspiciously low?
No,
right?
I don't think it's super suspicious. I mean, Arizona State played Cincinnati pretty close. I mean, they beat West Virginia. We've talked about, at least I've talked about how I think West Virginia is a pretty damn good team. Nobody talks about.
Yeah. I guess I just haven't watched much Arizona State this year.
They lost to Baylor in overtime. I mean, they got killed by Kansas, but I can't remember who Kansas played before that. But yeah, that was like when Kansas was playing good because they beat UCF that night and started the game before. So I don't know.
Scoop, let me guess, Arizona State, because you and Toast are just on complete different pages today.
Yeah, I'm on Arizona State.
Arizona State. This, so.
It's funny, they're good on the road but bad at home. But I'm taking them at home here with 6.5. But they won 12 against the spread this season. They're profitable, but this obviously depends on Freeman and Creighton's playing. Both of them are out. There's no way I'm taking Arizona State, but with them in, they can definitely compete. Arizona should not have won that Iowa State game, but I'll take that since I had them. But Arizona State has competed at West Virginia. They played Cincy tough. Iowa State, they played tough till the end. At home to Baylor, so they can stay with these top teams. But yeah, if Jaden Quintons is out, they don't have enough offense to stay in this game. That guy averages almost a double-double. He's had 6 this season already, and he's a huge part of their interior. So, but who knows? Arizona just had that overtime win, so they're probably tired. Arizona State.
God damn it!
Arizona State's 9-4 as underdogs this year. They're 7-2 as single-digit underdogs. So throw the records out the window for rivalry games. Really though, I'm serious though. If Quintons is out, Arizona probably wins this one and covers pretty easily. BJ Freeman leads this team with only 12.5 points, and Jihad right behind him. So they're not a huge offensive team, but they need the big man. They can beat a bad team in Colorado, but if they're not going to be able to feed anyone down low. I know Arizona doesn't have a huge interior game, but you'd be taking a huge part of Arizona State's strengths away if he's out. So if he's in, I didn't bet this, but if he's in, I would take the 6.5. If he's out, I would take Arizona to win.
I bet this, by the way, that team total under. Let's move on to the next game. Scoop says Arizona's going to be tired. Next up, Nova money line. Creighton's adorable at home. On the road, not so much. I bet Creighton in their last game at home -5.5. I don't even remember who the hell they played. Who the fuck was that? Who did Creighton just play at home?
Xavier.
So I'm on Villanova money line. Now Creighton goes back on the road where they're worse into Philly, where Villanova is significantly better. Two teams that have notable home away splits. So the fact that this one's in Philly favors Villanova. I heard a couple people that I trust on Villanova. I think Toast is on Villanova too. So yeah, I bet this. Nova -130. Philly up.
Go ahead, Scoop.
Yeah, 7th in a row. I guess we disagree on.
Are you kidding me? You're on Creighton.
Yeah, I don't know how you could bet Nova. Nova looks fucking terrible.
Yeah,
good.
I mean,
yeah,
books
we're
are just
wrong
giving
on this
away
one.
free
You're
money
wrong on this one.
with Creighton.
Oh my God, you guys are you guys high? Like, what have you guys done?
No,
last
it's fucking
night that you're
8:30.
betting these games?
It's 10 a.m. in the morning, Scoop. I haven't had a chance to get high yet. Sorry.
You're high at 6:30 in Hawaii. What are you or Alaska? Wherever
I'm on
you're from.
Eastern time. My body clock's all messed up.
We were talking about how Creighton has been inconsistent to start the season up to about a few weeks ago. They seem to have righted the ship. 6 straight wins, look pretty good in all of them. I'm gonna ride the train. Come on the train and ride it. They're getting in the victory column with their defense. Offense is still shaky at times. The defense has been awesome. 64 points or fewer. They're 5 of the last 7, including holding UConn to 63. This team already beat Villanova last month when they weren't that great. And they can score too when they're on. Kalkbrenner is still the best player on this team. They had 29 against Charles Xavier. But Ashworth has been steadily improving as a shooter too. He's actually shooting 97% from the free throw line too, which is crazy. Nova is who we thought they were, at least toasted me, so I'm very surprised he's taking Nova. I don't know why he would take Nova. An average team who is overachieving from their shooting, and a team that goes as far as Eric Dixon does. So, like I said, this team can shoot. They're 24th in effective field goal percentage. But guess what? They were top 10 up to until a few games ago. They lost to an unranked Xavier, Georgetown at home. A Marquette loss isn't the end of the world, but they still lost by 13. So their shooting is going down, and they're 184th in defensive efficiency. Villanova is at a low point right now, so you can bet them at their low point. Buy low, sell high. Dixon and Kalkbrenner should be a fun matchup to watch. So both of these players kind of cancel each other out, in my opinion. Dixon might be a better bit of scoring, but Kalkbrenner is way better defensively. Eric Dixon sucks ass defensively. Creighton has covered in their last 7 games. Nova hasn't covered in their last 5. I'm going to hope that trend stays alive here. I don't think Creighton should be an underdog whatsoever, so I'm definitely taking Creighton money line here.
Cool story. Nova by 9. Toast.
Yeah, so I like Villanova here. So the first time that these two teams played, obviously Creighton was at home, and they looked really, really good in that game. But at the same time, can we really expect Creighton to shoot 56% on the road from three-point land, almost 60% from the field as a total on the road? I don't really know about that. Yes, Creighton, I agree with Scoop. It's a buy low, sell high type of situation. I accept her. I think it's on Villanova's the buy low. You talked about Villanova shooting. Yes, they are aided by their shooting because they are the best three-point shooting team in the country, and it's not even close. By far. One thing that Creighton likes to do is clog the lane up and funnel everybody to Ryan Kalkbrenner. According to Shot Quality, I was reading this morning, or actually last night, Villanova, the best spacing team in the country. I think they space this game out. I think they start raining threes. I think they return the favor to Creighton. Villanova's winning this basketball game, guys. I love Villanova today. Like, the fact that they were minus 125 when I bet them, I thought that was an absolute steal. So I love Villanova today. The fact that this line hasn't moved made me like them even more. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I like this bet, too. I got it at minus 130. They're laying a full 3 points now. It's very clear the market likes them. Let's see what the money line is now. They're minus 150 on FanDuel. Is the cheapest you could get. So the line movement's on our side.
Damn, you're getting some good price for money line for Creighton, guys.
CLV, next up.
This is basically means me and Toast are going 4-4 in the first 8 games.
Oh, I'll probably go 0-8 the way that this place has been.
Clemson NC State. I haven't watched much NC State this year. I've heard they're bad. That a lot of I believe what I was told is a lot of the minutes from last year's team that went on that March Madness run, they're all gone. Like this is just a completely different team. Clemson was very good to me. I was blindly betting them on the road down the stretch last spring. I think they covered 9 in a row on the road, and I went along for that ride. I was betting them blindly on the road every time. So I have a soft spot in my heart for Clemson on the road. So you could put Clemson up for me. But I have no idea if it's a good bet. I'm just saying I was betting Clemson on the road, and it was working for a while, and I've heard NC State is bad. But I really don't. I don't have a bet in this.
I don't have a bet in this one either. This one's, for me, I think it's an absolute coin flip. I would lean Clemson just because I think they're by far the better team. The only team they've lost to in the last month is Louisville, and everybody loses to Louisville. And they only lost to Louisville by 10 on the road. It's not like they were absolutely solid. They were in that game for most of the first half. So I lean Clemson. I'm not really in love with laying 5.5 points. I mean, NC State's pretty damn bad, but they didn't look terrible against Duke. Now, do they have the can they get up against Duke or against Clemson after Duke? I don't really know, but I'd lean Clemson.
By the way, you told Toast to move the mic too close to his mouth. Now people can hear him breathing.
Okay, then back it up.
I think it's kind of hot, personally.
Can you hear him breathing, Scoop?
No, I don't, but
The crowd does.
Yeah, Clemson's the second or third best team in this conference. Really, after Duke, Clemson, Louisville, there's a decent drop-off. I know the issue with Clemson, they're beating up these ACC teams who just aren't, good. Virginia Tech's not, Syracuse isn't, Pitt's decent, Georgia Tech's not. So the last 4 games, they kind of played their way to wins they're supposed to. But NC State is just a team that's not good. They overachieved in that Duke game. They were winning at half. They easily covered, good for them. But they also went 8 minutes without scoring a point. So with these games, I'm going to grab Clemson to keep rolling. They've shown they could beat these teams by margin. NC State's on a 5-game losing streak. They're turning the ball over at a high rate. It's partially why Duke won. They had 17 points off turnovers. Duke had 23% of their points off turnovers. NC State's still one of the worst offenses in the ACC right now. They're not a good shooting team. They've only hit 70 points twice on the ACC play right now. And if you look at Clemson's games, 8 of their 9 wins were by 10 or more points. This Clemson team, if you don't remember, they were an Elite 8 team last year. So, actually, so was NC State with that crazy run. Yeah, I forgot about that. But Brad Brownell, to his credit, has kept his team in the top tier. Clemson's just a far better team, better offense, better defense. They're more physical. I'm just not going to overthink this one. I think Clemson should win and cover.
Yeah, I'm definitely not betting this one. Our poll is 78% on Clemson. So I would. Looks like the whole world's betting
And
Clemson.
that's I was gonna say before you said that, I was gonna say I wouldn't mind Clemson as like a money line parlay piece, but I would assume they're in so many different parlays today that I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. St. Joe's, Loyola, Chicago.
Yeah, this is my favorite bet of the day.
No, it's not.
No, it really is.
Oh, go ahead. What do you got?
This is a rematch from earlier in this year, kind of like the Tennessee and Florida game. St. Joe's won by 36 points. It was a true dog walking. I think the same thing is going to happen here for the most point as an away team. This team is just going to kill Loyola.
Wait.
On both.
Sorry to cut. Is this Sister Jean?
I was gonna say you don't believe in Sister Jean. She's still alive.
Sister Jean?
Is this
that's
Loyola,
pray
Chicago?
Then you got to pray for our sinners now at the hour of our death, because Loyola Chicago is going to get just absolutely destroyed. They got killed on both ends of the court last game. And really, Loyola has struggled defensively all year. Sister Jean's 105. Maybe they can roll her out and pray to the Lord. They can get some types of stops. 136 in defensive efficiency. This team is 4-8 in their last 12. They barely beat Fordham at home, and Fordham's absolutely terrible. Reynolds and Brown are going to roll like they did in that first game against Loyola. The last game, they shot 18 threes against them. Loyola isn't a good three-point team to begin with, three-point defense to begin with. They're giving up 35% of the year. Loyola isn't the worst offense, but St. Joe's already shut them down once. They held them to 57. And even without Brown and Reynolds, they have Fleming, who is going to absolutely maul them on the inside. So Loyola also 0-5 against the spread at home this season. No way this game should be close whatsoever. I think they have to definitely pray to the Holy Spirit to get this one done.
Give me Sister Jean money line.
No way. Absolutely no way.
There's something called faith. So give me Sister Jean.
105 though. Good for her, man. I hope I'm way dead by then, to be honest.
Give me Sister. There you go. Sister Jean money line.
No, it has to be Sister Jean.
I kind of want to bet this now. I don't know shit about the team.
I just felt I didn't go too deep into this one, but I knew, like Scoop mentioned, that St. Joseph's absolutely throttled this team by like 40 points earlier in the year, and this line was kind of weird to me. So I will say that Loyola Chicago hasn't looked great, but their losses are the St. Joe's game that we talked about, Dayton, who's actually starting to play really good basketball right now, and George Mason, who's one of the better teams in the conference as well. And both of those, the Dayton and George Mason's games, they both lost those games. They were both on the road, and they lost them both in overtime. So now they're back home. Again, I lean St. Joseph's, but there's no way. I think it's an absolute coin flip.
Amen, Toast.
I do. A coin flip, you always lean towards faith. Next up.
True.
Well, they have St. Joe's in their name, so
True. Oh shit, here it is. So all right, those of you that watched last night's midnight stream, we talked about this game. I didn't tail it.
Don't say. I want to hear what Scoop has to say on this.
This
we always
stinks.
disagree.
Everyone's betting Ole Miss, and it stinks. It stinks.
Well then,
are you on Ole Miss, Scoop?
Yeah.
Everybody's on Ole Miss. Everybody is taking Ole Miss.
Great.
I know I say Auburn's the best team in the nation. That's still true, but I just can't bet them on the road here as much as I want to. They burned me too much this year. They just can't cover on the road. The LSU was the only one, and they covered it by the hook, which was kind of garbage.
Luckier than shit.
So no, I'm not betting them. Even though at home or a neutral court, they should win this pretty easily. So I'm going to take Ole Miss in the points at home. Ole Miss is not a terrible team at all. They did have that 3-game losing streak, but they competed in all of them except that Missouri game. Bunch of losers. Had the nice win against Texas and stayed home for this one now. The only way Ole Miss obviously can compete here is on the defensive side of the ball, something they're really good at. They're 10th in defensive efficiency this year. They are struggling to close out games, but this isn't winning the game. This is 6.5 last night when I actually bet it. 3 possessions. The Rebels, they held 6 of their 8 SEC teams to under 70 points. It's going to be tough to do that, but Ole Miss is 3rd in the nation in steals. They can cause some problems on the defensive end. I know Broome is an absolute monster. Obviously, I think it's a mismatch for the most part there, but Ole Miss has enough of a defense with a decent offense with Badul and Murray on the perimeter. Not a pun, but Chris Beard teaches physicality. He gets his team to play hard. If they can take care of the ball here, they get a good chance to cover and possibly win this game. This is more of an indictment on how Auburn plays on the road, so I'm gonna trust Ole Miss.
It stinks, man. Everyone's taking Ole Miss.
Is the comments okay? At least that helps me a little bit. Like
it kind of makes me want to take Auburn.
At least there's people clicking the Auburn button. Like that helps.
It's probably because I gave a speech saying everyone's going to take Ole Miss. They're like, "Fuck it, Auburn."
Okay, that could be very well true. I'm just saying that gives me a little bit of hope. I'm on Ole Miss too here. Scoop touched on it. Auburn on the road just hasn't really been the same. They squeaked out wins against Texas, Georgia, and LSU. I mean, in the LSU game, I think if anybody watched it, that was a very, very lucky cover, especially at the end. But not to mention the fact that we talked about turnovers. LSU turns the ball over a lot. That's one thing that Mississippi or Ole Miss doesn't do is turn the ball over. They don't turn the ball over. They force a whole bunch of turnovers. They're one of the better passing teams in the conference as well. So they should be able to find open looks today. I truly believe that Mississippi can win this game outright. Sooner or later, Auburn's going to lose one of these games. Obviously, they have only lost one game all year, and that was on the road to Duke. Like, I truly believe in my heart of hearts that Ole Miss is quite live in this game. So we'll see what happens, but I do think that Ole Miss and their defense is going to show up here today. So I took Ole Miss. It's probably one of my more favorite bets on the board. We'll see what happens.
Really quick, since we're 4-0, the last soccer bets I gave out on this show.
You're 4-0 this morning?
No, well, yeah, actually, I am 4-0 this morning, but I'm also 4-0 the last bets I bet on the show. But Bologna, it's spelled like Bologna. Bologna and Como, both teams to score -110. It's going to hit. So
when's that game start?
I think 12 o'clock.
Okay. Next up, Kansas State, Iowa State. I'm good on this one. I have no interest.
You see what Harrison said? Shout out Beaver and the nerds from Harvard. My boys came through last night. Everybody doubted.
Well, you're an Ivy Leaguer, so I know you were accepted in the Harvard, but you went to Miami. Mm-hmm. So,
you guys,
15.5 points. Remember in the season, Kansas State was supposed to be good. That didn't happen. They did win their last 2 games, both by double digits, but West Virginia and OK State. I mean, West Virginia is and Oklahoma State's just a bad team. It's going to be really hard to bet against Iowa State here in general. I said last week they would beat Arizona State and lose to Arizona. That happened. And now they're going to just shell shock Kansas State. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reference. What does Kansas State do that's good? I mean, nothing. I never thought that this team would be good because of the turnovers to improve the team. I thought they would be good because of the turnover to improve the team, kind of like Missouri, but that hasn't happened at all. The last 2 games, Kansas State came out hot and really rode the momentum to the end. A 19-2 run against West Virginia to start, 10-0 against Oklahoma State. Iowa State's not going to allow you to do that. I mean, plus last year, Kansas State coach, was it Tang? I think his name is.
Jerome Tang.
Yeah, so he called Lipsy the top flopper in the conference, so that should give him some momentum as well to really put it to Kansas State at home. Kansas State has lost 15 straight road games, including all 6 this season, all of them were, except 2 losses, were by double digits. So, yeah, Iowa State's unbeaten at home. They've killed opponents. They're 27 points on average they're winning by. This would be nothing but Iowa State or pass for now. I just can't, back a bad Kansas State team against one of the best teams in country at home. So.
Yeah, I have no interest in betting this, Toes.
I would play over 143 or pass if I had to make a play in this game. The only thing that concerns me a little bit, Iowa State started at 16.5. They're down to 14.5. So the number is moving down. And I will give you that West Virginia and Oklahoma State are not nearly the defensive teams that Iowa State is, but I do feel like Kansas State has started to find their offense just a little bit, and West Virginia's defense isn't terrible, so I do think that Kansas State should be able to score some points here today. So I would lean over 143.5, just that, and that way, if Iowa State does blow them out and puts up 100 points, then you can still have a good chance of betting that over or cashing that over. So I would lean over if I had to make a play.
Let's move on to the next game. And the next game is Wisconsin at Northwestern. I feel like you just can't even take every single game. It seems like Wisconsin has a sketchy line, right? It's like, how is it only -1?
Yeah, I will give you that. When you said that last night, I kind of laughed in my head.
The market hates Wisconsin.
And then at the same time, I agree. I agree with that now.
So I didn't bet this one, but I was really close to, and I still might. I saw a Wisconsin money line at -130. I was thinking about taking it.
Go ahead, Scoop. I'm curious because I don't have a play. I feel like I want Northwestern as like a feisty team when I'm getting like multiple possessions. I don't want them as like a under one possession dog. Like I feel like there's a huge difference there.
Yeah. Tennessee down to 2.5, by the way. So yeah, Northwestern just lost to Rutgers. What an embarrassment that is. Also, right when I decided to say Wisconsin's a decent team, they can't even cover against Maryland. They couldn't defend a 3. Sanjay's okay. I feel like this line is a bit too short, like Coach said, for Northwestern. I can't trust Wisconsin really on the road. So that's why the line is so low. But there's no doubt they're a way better team than pretty much almost like a one possession game to Northwestern. I think so anyway. I think Wisconsin's way better. Northwestern has a decent defense, but they're going to try to slow this game down. There's really no one on Northwestern I really trust with the ball. I know Wisconsin's the top 10 offense in the country. Again, the only wins Wisconsin has on the road were USC and Rutgers. They're 2-4, so that's what's bringing this number down. But Northwestern's lost 6 of their last 8. Wisconsin's going to shoot better than 33% here from 3. That's what they shot against Maryland. They also had a poor free throw shooting night compared to what they usually do against Maryland. So I really don't see Northwestern going on what was it, like an 18-6 run from like Maryland did. First of all, Maryland is a better offense and defense than Wisconsin. Better offensive defense than Northwestern. This is a bounce back game for Wisconsin. Maryland was one of their worst offensive outputs of the year when they played them. I especially like coming off a loss. If they can stop Barnhizer or Martinelli, I don't think Northwestern really has much else there in terms of offense. So I would grab Wisconsin, but it's just hard trusting them on the road.
And the reason that I kind of agreed with Kyle is that, look at I get the Wisconsin on the road is a little bit different, but look at who they lost to. They lost to UCLA, who's playing
by 1. They covered that.
Really good basketball right now, and they lost by 2, but yeah,
but it was
one possession,
3.5.
and that was the second game of their West Coast road trip. Which again, for a school like Wisconsin, not having to make that road trip to the West Coast, in my opinion, that's a bigger deal. And then they lost to Illinois and Marquette. Those aren't really bad losses on the road. So I just thought that this number was a little short. I felt like Wisconsin. I still feel like Wisconsin should be the play here. I agree. I feel like maybe the market has a little bit wrong on Wisconsin.
Yeah, the market hates Wisconsin. They don't
because the reason is that Northwestern has been feisty. Like that's the issue, is that they've been playing well. So I get it at home off of 2 straight losses, but at the same time, Rutgers made them look really bad, and Rutgers is really bad.
When someone says a team looks feisty, that means they suck. But like, I still kind of think they're good.
Yeah, you want them catching 7, not 2.
Yeah, feisty means shit. Next up. They've been feisty.
I do like Northwestern because of Martinelli and Barnhizer. I think it's just hard getting them the ball is another thing.
All right, Vanderbilt Oklahoma. I think I'm down to bet this one. I think this is a spot where Oklahoma comes out with vinegar in their piss.
That is.
Give me Boomer Sooner, bro. -2.5.
Scoop, go.
Yeah,
if people aren't getting that joke, last night we were listening to the Pump Fake Pod, Trevor's show, and the one guy, his co-host, he said this dead ass serious. It wasn't a joke. Nobody laughed. They just kept on talking. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna bet Baylor, but I'm a little worried that Kansas comes out with vinegar in their piss." And Trevor was like, "Yeah, all right."
Yeah.
And it was like no one laughed. Me and Toast were dying laughing.
I still am.
So he's like, So I think Oklahoma's going to come out with vinegar in their piss in this one.
No, I think oil is going to come out of their piss. I'm on Vandy up. I'm riding them like I rode them in football. I love Vanderbilt. Love the guy who founded Vanderbilt, good old Sir Cornelius Vanderbilt, good old railroad tycoon. I love Nashville.
I'm going to his house next week.
Wait, you're really taking Vandy?
Yeah, I love Nashville. I love Diego Pavia.
Scoop, no, just stop.
Vandy coming off that big Kentucky win. That was actually the last game they played last Saturday. But yeah, 2 wins over top 10 teams. They have a great assist-to-turnover ratio, one of the best in the SEC. It's how they won over Kentucky. They take care of the ball. I know they got out-rebounded by a pretty sizable margin in that game, but still won. Vanderbilt shut down Kentucky for the most part with their shooters. I think they can do that against Oklahoma as well. Oklahoma is 4-7 against the spread at home this season. And the only 2 SEC wins they have this season are South Carolina and Arkansas, 2 teams that have also struggled so far on the year. I know Oklahoma has great shooters, Fears, Moores, Miles, not taking anything away from Oklahoma's offense. But defensively, they've been struggling to stay in front of anyone. They have the 3rd worst scoring defense in the SEC. I know Vanderbilt isn't exactly the best shooting team, but like I said, they take care of the ball. Jason Edwards has been solid. I just think this is going to be a close one throughout. So I take the points. Oklahoma has better shooters, but Vanderbilt's slightly better defensively and better on the boards. So just going to take a team that's playing better basketball against the same opponents for the most part. So Vander should have shown me all. I just called them Vander shit. Vanderbilt has shown more of them all what they could prove all year. So I'm riding them like in football. Go Vanderbilt.
I think you're on the wrong side here.
I might be. I didn't bet it.
Post?
I bet Oklahoma. Boomer freaking Sooner right here. Jeremiah Fears is about to just absolutely wreck this overvalued Vanderbilt team right now. I know Vanderbilt has played really, really well. They squeaked out a victory against Tennessee, and they squeaked out another victory at home against Kentucky, and it really looked good. But if you look at them on the road, sure, Alabama and Missouri are good teams, but LSU's not a good team. It's really hard for me to trust them. I get that Oklahoma hasn't played well, but to start the year at home, they played a Texas A&M team. They lost to them by 2. They could have won that game. Then they come home. Then they go on the road to play a Georgia team that's much bigger than them. I didn't expect them to win that game. Then they come home and play a Texas team that I think now that people are starting to believe that Texas might be a somewhat legitimate team. They lost that Texas game by 4, and then they come home and they beat a pretty decent South Carolina team or a feisty South Carolina team. Now every time I say feisty, I hear shit. Kyle saying that team shit. But I do think this is I think this is a very good spot. I think this is a very good spot for Oklahoma. I think that, like I said, I think that Fears goes crazy tonight. I think that that Jalen Moore kid is probably going to be able to get some buckets tonight. I really, really like Oklahoma here in this spot. I think there's a reason that they're 2.5-point favorites. KenPom makes it 5. I think that the market is going to take Vandy taking the points, and I think this is a great spot for Oklahoma.
Wags is on Oklahoma. Vandenbosch on Oklahoma.
I won't argue with you. I'm not as passionate as
You're not as feisty.
I'm not scrappy. I'm not feisty.
Next game. Michigan, Rutgers. I don't know. What was it? What were they talking about? They were talking about Michigan's turnovers, right? I think Trev's leading Rutgers here.
Well, Michigan's just one of those teams where they're like one of the most, if not the most volatile team in college basketball because they turn the ball over a lot and they shoot a ton of threes. And if they're making their threes, then obviously they're going to look really good. If they're not making their threes, they're going to look really bad, a la the Purdue game, the Minnesota game, really the Northwestern game. I mean, Michigan has been kind of mediocre, I guess, over the last couple of weeks. I mean, again, like I talked about, those 2 games against Michigan and against Minnesota and Northwestern both went to overtime. They got killed by Purdue, and they squeaked out a win against that Penn State team that, at this point, Penn State's just playing bad. I think that some people thought that team might be somewhat decent at sometimes, but they're just playing bad. Now Rutgers, again, does Dylan Harper play? I don't know. I mean, do you know, Scoop, by chance? I'm not even talking shit. Do you know if he plays or not?
No, he's just questionable.
Yeah, so if Dylan Harper plays, I would definitely lean Rutgers. I do think that when both Harper and Bailey play, I think you're going to get a little bit of value with them because Rutgers hasn't performed very well, and we've seen with Ace Bailey really starting to come into his own the last couple of nights. 37 against Northwestern, 30 against Penn State. He's hitting the 3-ball really, really well, or shooting the 3-ball really well. He's hitting all of his free throws. I think he's only missed 2 free throws in the last 6 games. So Ace Bailey is really coming onto his own. So him having a good game by himself could cover this number. Again, I would really want Harper in there just in case Michigan were to go off here. But Michigan on the road this year hasn't been fantastic. They had a really good road trip to the West Coast against USC and UCLA that I think makes their numbers look a lot better than before. But I don't really know if I trust them on the road. But again, is Rutgers the place that I want to test it with a Rutgers team that's been kind of blah the whole year? Not really. So I lean Rutgers, but I didn't bet it.
Tanker's in the comments saying he's taking Michigan. He thinks Michigan's going to be piss and vinegar.
Vinegar.
Scoop.
Yeah, I might take the 10-minute drive for this game. It's only $72 toast, too, though. Yeah, I'm not taking Rutgers. You can keep your 5.5. Rutgers needs 8 or 9 here. Ace Bailey is obviously a stud. You can see what he can do against Northwestern, but that was Northwestern, a team that has no offense. Michigan does have an offense. It's going to dominate Rutgers throughout the game. I know Michigan lost to Minnesota, kind of embarrassing. If Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper, who actually plays in a game, if you shut them down, you're going to win. You're going to win the game. Still, Michigan is 4th in effective field goal percentage. Golden can score on Harper. Wolf can too. Harper may be a shooter, gets to the basket a ton, but he can't play defense. Like I said, I don't even know if he's playing, but Rutgers is 242nd in scoring defense, 203rd in effective field goal percentage, and they can't rebound. They have no inside presence. They're outside of the top 125 in offensive and defensive rebounding. I know Michigan has come back down to earth lately, and I know the rack is usually loud. I just don't see them how they're going to do well enough defensively to keep this one close. So I know Michigan's going to control the glass, and lately they've been taking care of the ball way better than the start of the year. That's how they won the Penn State game. They had 18 turnovers to 9. Rutgers doesn't exactly take care of the ball anyway. So really, though, there isn't much consistency with Rutgers. They lost to a bad Princeton team at home. They went on 3 straight losses. Then they beat UCLA and Nebraska, then another 2 losses before that Northwestern game. I think Michigan's just going to be too much for them. I hope Peichel gets fired. He's a loser.
Get out of here.
I might go to the game, though, honestly. So
Come pick me up.
all right.
Yeah, Toast will go with you. I'm not.
Come on, bro.
Next.
No chance.
Rack.
No chance Kyle goes.
I'm more likely to go see LeBron
You
play.
went last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm more likely to go see LeBron play at Madison Square Garden tonight. I got Knicks minus 9.5. That's where you're more likely
We
to
could
see.
double dip. We could double dip. We can go right from Rutgers to MSG.
We could double dip. What's the tip-off times of those two?
3:30 and 7:30.
You guys please don't get me excited. This was next game.
Rutgers game straight to Madison Square Garden.
I would be.
All right, we'll talk about it after.
I'd lose my mind going just to Madison Square Garden. Anyway,
Yeah,
next
well,
game.
see LeBron play.
8:30. It's a good.
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
a good balance.
Louisville, Georgia Tech. Screw this game. Don't care.
I think I don't know how you just not bet Louisville in this game. I have been on record multiple times and been wrong multiple times about this Louisville team. I don't believe, but I'm at a position right now where I cannot. All they do is continue to win, and they continue to win by double digits. So it's only Louisville or pass for me. I don't think there's any reason to try to be sharp with Georgia Tech. If Louisville doesn't win this game by 10+, I'd be absolutely shocked.
Someone goes, why does it feel like Scoop works electronics at Best Buy?
Oh no, actually, it was Costco. I worked in the electronics section at Costco. That was when I was like 18, though.
So many moons ago.
Many moons.
Scoop, are you laying?
Yeah, I mean, Louisville's on a mission lately. There's no way I can bet against them right now. Georgia Tech is just a bad basketball team. They lost 5 of the last 6. I guess they're not the worst home team. Their 3 wins in NCT were at home: Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Boston College. But I mean, those 3 teams also aren't good. I don't really like any player on Georgia Tech too. When I watch them play, Lance Terry isn't great. McCollum's average. I just think the way Louisville's playing right now, Chucky Hepburn, Terrence Edwards, they can take over this game. They can take advantage of any player they put on them in this one. And really, though, like I said, I can't bet against Louisville, at least against a team like Georgia Tech right now. So really, though, if you look at Louisville's schedule, the next 4 games are a joke. After this, they play Boston College, Miami, and then NC State. This is a very cakewalk part of their schedule. Either way, Pat Kelsey has done awesome with this team. He's probably going to win Coach of the Year if he keeps this up. And good thing for us, they're 13-8 against the spread. So if you're trying to bet them, Louisville's just trying to help us out. This game really should go Louisville's way. They won 10 in a row. In that run, especially lately, their defense has really picked it up. The only way I see this staying close is if Georgia Tech hits their threes. They launch a ton of them, but the way Louisville's playing, I don't see this game being close.
Gabe says about us going to the Knicks game. He goes, 3 baddies courtside, huh? By the way, kind of want to bet Georgia Tech there now. We're polling it. every single person.
Dude, it's honestly though, I get what you're saying. It's been like that for 3 weeks.
No. This is different
I'm telling
because
you.
now I'm seeing it.
Seeing the picture.
You can get a plus 10.5 on FanDuel. Be the only person repping the Yellow Jackets here.
Haynes King isn't playing though.
Haynes King's out.
Yeah.
As long as Jamal Haynes is out there to run the football. Next up.
You guys, I hate you guys because I was like, wait, who?
Who's that?
That's the
Is he like
quarterback.
is he coming off the bench? Is he like an ace?
Toast is like rushing to his notes like Haynes King.
Wait, what?
Next up is what is it? What is this logo?
George Mason versus Davidson,
Mason.
buddy. Learn ball. Holy shit.
That's Jim Laurinaitis.
It's a green and yellow and
Laurinaitis?
black and a
Laurinaitis?
logo I don't recognize. My bad.
That's Steph Curry.
Davison?
Yeah, Davidson, Steph Curry. Yes, thank you, Scoop. Good job.
Yes, we understand that's where Steph Curry went to college, Scoop.
I'm just saying, you didn't know the logo, so I figured
Scoop, are
you
you
didn't know
13
who.
years old? Hey, it's Steph Curry.
Oh, that was funny. He
I
said,
didn't know if
Steph
you're old
Curry.
enough to remember him.
Oh, my God. Scoop, are you taking Davidson here?
No, I'm Atlantic. This is a nice Atlantic 10 battle. George Mason's actually first in the conference right now. They really are on a roll. There is no Steph Curry here for Davidson this year.
Oh, he's not playing?
Well, he's
not
out.
playing.
He's day to day. He's day to day. We're not sure yet.
Big
That
and active,
information
big
hasn't
and
came down
active.
yet.
Yeah, so they're 10-1 at home. I know Davidson is, but George Mason has been better on the road this year with the Bonnies and Dayton in their last two. I'm not going to overthink this. George Mason actually leads the country in defensive field goal percentage, and they're a solid three-point defense too. They're just a dominant defense and extremely physical, and they're 20th in rebounding. Davidson's a pretty good shooting team, but they're 279th in rebounding. It's going to be a huge mismatch there. I think it's 23rd to 226 in the rebound margin. I think George Mason wins this game pretty comfortably.
Speaking of Steph, Toast faded Steph last night on his own. Just went and found his own NBA bet, took the Suns. We watched it.
Air.
Toast, you have anything in this one?
That being said, Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant still suck. So I don't care if I won that game by 30 points. That was an absolute disgrace. Yeah. Anyway, I actually leaned Davidson here. I didn't bet it. I everything that Scoop said is obviously correct. I just don't understand how George Mason, who is 16-5, 7-1 overall in the conference, is only laying 1.5 points against a Davidson team that's 3-4 in conference and hasn't really looked good in 2 weeks. So again, on line alone, it just makes me feel a little bit weird. I agree with Scoop, though. On paper, George Mason should win this game by 10+.
Someone said, Toast, aren't you in Alaska? Yeah, that's where he's from, but he's sitting 8 feet next to me. He's in Jersey for the weekend.
Yeah.
Kyle, you don't have any thoughts on this game?
You know what? Let's break it down. Davidson, real firecracker team at home, but this George Mason team might be a little too much on the boards.
Yep.
I don't know anything about these teams next, man.
Okay.
Homie with the big feet. No, I did not bet Tennessee. I did not. Good
Georgia,
number,
Alabama.
That's the Georgia logo, Kyle.
Oh, is that Georgia?
It could be Grambling, actually, right?
Yeah, they have like the same logo, just different colors. Also, the Green Bay Packers very similar. So it's Georgia, Alabama. We're looking at 12.5 now. Is Alabama? Is this going to be a dog walking?
I don't know. I'm curious to hear what Scoop has to say on this one because I know that Georgia hasn't been good, but losing to Tennessee, Auburn, and Florida doesn't really kill me. They lost the Arkansas game. That's obviously a disgrace, but I mean, they've been playing some really, really good teams. So I don't think they're going to be necessarily shell-shocked going on the road to Alabama. And obviously, Alabama is really good, but Georgia's defense has been good. Georgia on the road hasn't been fantastic, again, but I also feel like they've played good competition. And Georgia does match up with Alabama pretty well. Georgia's a very big basketball team, so guys like Grant Nelson and stuff shouldn't have such easy nights like they had other nights. So I lean Georgia here. I don't really like playing against Alabama, especially when they're at home, but Alabama's been a little bit better on the road this year so far than they have been at home. Again, they only beat LSU by 7 at home this year. I mean, Oklahoma is absolutely terrible. I lean Georgia here. I didn't bet this one, but it feels like I feel like Georgia. We're going to see a good effort out of Georgia. I don't know why.
No, I lean the other way. Alabama minus the points. Trev's on Alabama. He says Georgia sucks on the road. They play tough at home. Bama puts up a hundy today. Hundy is slang for 100 for those playing the home game.
Damn.
Wow.
The more you know, it's like the star that goes across the sky.
Hundy equals 100 as in 100 points. So I lean towards Alabama. It looks like we don't have the graphics for this one, though. Oh, there we go.
Just a lot of games.
There's probably 700 graphics.
Unfortunately for Georgia, I still think they're a year or so away from competing with these teams. I would still lay the points with Alabama. If this game was at home, I'd roll with Georgia, but Alabama at home really is just different. Even though LSU shut them down for the most part their last home game, if LSU had any type of three-point shot, they could have won that game outright. But I think the same goes for Georgia. They did just beat the Cox, but before then, the upper teams like Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, like Toast said, they don't score enough. Plus, they really are just strong at home. They beat Kentucky, Oklahoma at home, but they are really just a terrible road team since SEC's play started. Georgia is great against the three. They're actually a really solid defense, and obviously Alabama loves to launch threes. The problem is, like I said, I just think Georgia just doesn't have enough offense. Ace Newell's okay. Damari Jr. isn't that great of a scorer. LeFew's the same. They're just okay players on offense. And so while Sears, as we all know about, has a little down year, but they really have a solid offensive team that shares it with Fyon, Holloway, Nelson down low. It's going to be too much for Georgia to stop throughout the game. Plus, Bama is 8-2 against the spread the last 10. So, I mean, even though I think it was 321st in scoring defense, that's mainly, I think, just because of how fast they play. Alabama does turn the ball over a lot, but Georgia's worse there. So I'm going to take Bama at home. I'm not betting.
So somebody, Slick Rick or Slick Vic in the comments talked about. Rick. I don't know. It's a little bit farther away from me, but I saw that he made the comment about Youngblood, and that's really a good point. But that's part of the reason that I like Georgia personally. Youngblood went off the other night against Mississippi State, 7 for 10 from deep, 18 points. He was awesome. He was the reason that Alabama won that game. But can you really expect for him to hit 7 3-pointers? I mean, the games previous to that, 1 for 5, 2 for 6, 2 for 8, 3 for 6, 1 for 3, 1 for 5, 1 for 6. I mean, so this idea that this Alabama offense is humming right now, I mean, again, I don't know if you can really count on Chris Youngblood to have another fantastic performance. I mean, Alabama shot 50%, nearly 50% from deep against Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a lot smaller than Georgia. I just don't feel like Alabama is going to be able to get the same type of shots off. So we'll see what happens. But I wanted to point that out because Youngblood's getting a lot of love here, and I think that it's because of one game, and I don't really know if we can use that.
What up, Youngblood?
Next up is big one. Kansas on the road at Baylor. It looks like the line has moved towards Baylor because it was 1.5 2 last night. Let me check an update on that. Baylor is -2.5 across the board now.
Is Roach playing? Does anyone know?
I think that he is. I think the line kind of tells us that he probably is. I think that he's been dealing with a concussion, and so it would. Yeah. Well, here's in my thought process, and a couple people that I talked to as well. Like, it would make sense that they don't play him coming out of the concussion up in BYU and Utah with the elevation. Yeah. So I think it would make more sense that it makes sense that he didn't play the BYU game. He was kind of listed as questionable. So to make sense, it would make sense to me that he would be able to play here tonight. But even if he doesn't play, I don't think it really matters personally. I think that Baylor's in a fantastic spot here today. I'm curious to see. Are you on Baylor or Kansas, Scoop?
I would lean Baylor.
Okay. So Baylor's like my favorite bet of the day. I think that VJ Edgecombe as coming in outside of his mind, and I think that he's going to be able to match up with Hunter Dickinson very well. Edgecombe has really, like I said, over the last 3 games has really figured out how to play this type of competition. I mean, the kid came over from the Bahamas. He was kind of shaky to start the year, but 28 points against BYU, 21 points against Utah, 30 points against Kansas State. He can rebound. He doesn't really turn the ball over. He had turnovers against Utah, but that was kind of like a one-off. And you're facing a Kansas team that, again, just can't really trust them on the road. I know that they've looked good at certain spots like UCF, they killed them, and TCU, they killed them, but none of those teams are really matched up with Baylor-wise. Not to mention the fact Kansas has Iowa State on deck. If Kansas doesn't have Hunter Dickinson, because I think Edgecombe can really match up well with him, who's going to beat you? DeJuan Harris, who's questionable, Zeke Mayo, who's been terrible, AJ Storr, who's been terrible. I mean, I pray to God Zeke Mayo has the ball in his hands. I mean, I just don't understand this. I think that Baylor's in a very, very good spot here at home. They're coming off a BYU game that they probably should have won that game on the road, even without Jeremy Roach, and they lost that game in overtime by 4. I think this is a very, very good spot for Baylor here today.
Yeah, I'm on Baylor too.
Yeah, so I feel like both of these teams are struggling for the most part. I mean, struggling compared to what they usually are. That Houston game was a rough one, though. They did bounce back against UCF, but that wasn't game wasn't close to covering too. And now they're traveling up to a road team to Waco. I know Kansas isn't the worst road team, but they're 3-3 as a road team on a neutral or as a true road game. And Baylor's a tough place to play. Kansas does have a great defense, and Baylor does play relatively slow, but Baylor's going to shoot threes, and Kansas might have, I mean, maybe they'll get some points down low, but Baylor at home are 9-1. Their average margin of victory is almost 30 points. Like Toast said, VJ Edgecombe is definitely getting better as the season has gone on. He's going to be a lottery pick for sure in the upcoming draft, but even Omir's going to have to battle Dickinson down low, but I think they both can really double team Dickinson. Dickinson's a monster, and he'll probably get a better one of them, but I think the help defense is going to help out Baylor a lot. Obviously, Dickinson has a size advantage on both, and I'm not sure if DeJuan Harris is playing, and he's a big piece for Kansas. And even though they make most of their work down low for Kansas, if he's out, they're going to get one of the perimeter shooters out for Kansas. So I know the problem with Baylor is they've only had one top 50 win on the year, and that was all the way in the beginning of the year against St. John's, and that was double overtime. They are 3-6 in quad one games, but they need this game, especially because they play Texas Tech and Houston in their next games, both away games. They're going to need this one, a big one at home. Jeremy Roach, like you said, is questionable. He had a second concussion. So, but I mean, when Kansas played UCF, they only turned the ball over 7 times, grabbed a bunch of offensive rebounds against Kansas, and let it fly from 3. I think that's going to happen here again for Baylor. I think Baylor is going to take care of the ball. I think they're going to get some rebounds, and they're going to shoot some threes. So I like Baylor in this game too.
Yeah, my plan is if Baylor wins this one, hopefully, in a perfect world, Baylor wins this one comfortably, and then we bet Kansas at home against Iowa State on Monday night. So hopefully Kansas gets beat, then goes back home where they're better, and then hopefully we get it at close to a pick. Might even be like Kansas -1 or something, and I'm gonna bet Kansas at home to beat Iowa State on Monday night after losing this one. That's my plan. I'm on Baylor next game, and this next one, look, it's very clear that the quote-unquote sharp side is UCF here. I think the wrong team's favored, but usually that's indicative of sharp actually coming in on that side, betting this up to 2.5. I think BYU's the better team, so I didn't bet it, but I kind of want to bet BYU here because they shouldn't be catching points. You want us to give you got the travel spot, right? You got BYU flying across the country, playing in South Florida or Central Florida. I get that. How many points is that swinging the line? 7? BYU's 3 or 4 points better than UCF. So BYU plus the points would be my side.
Scoop.
Yeah, I'm leaning UCF. I mean, speaking of UCF, yeah, they're gonna need to attack the glaze and hit their threes like that Kansas game. I guess I'm taking it at home. I really can't get over to 4 or 5 losses for BYU, especially the Utah and TCU losses.
Thank you.
Both as an away team. They also lost to Providence as a road team. Yeah, I don't know. They also beat Colorado, but again,
who doesn't?
So does everybody. I know UCF hasn't been great either. I'm not saying that. They're 3-5 in their last 8, but as a home team, they only lost to Houston by 1. They killed TCU. Again, they beat Colorado, but that one Kansas loss, which was brutal, they played them up to a 4-point loss. I love UCF here in this spot. They've just been really strong on offense. They're definitely an offensive first team. They scored 83 against Iowa State. They did give up 108. That's besides the point. They also put up 87 to Kansas, 80 to Arizona, and even 68 against Houston is a pretty big accomplishment. I think Keyshawn Hall is the best player on the court in this game. He's all over the place. He leads the team in points and rebounds. I know UCF is a smaller team. The only big man is Diem. They run 4 guards. But if you remember UCF from last year, they were a physical defense first team. That is not the case at all this year. They are a disaster defensively, but the way they run, they can compete with any team. But they can also lose by 50, like you saw against Kansas. But they also do run their starters most of the game. They don't have that much of a bench, so BYU does have better depth and a better defense. But I'm trusting a streaky team at home, and the last few games, it looks like they could score on anyone. So I'm going to take UCF.
By the way, so this line has moved. Hamilton said it's at 1.5 now, and he's right. Just in the last couple hours. So I'm looking at Circa right here. This is at 3 at 7:45 this morning Eastern. So in the last 3 hours, this line has dropped from 3 to 1. It's all the way down to 1 on Circa. So BYU taking some. I'm betting BYU.
I was going to say 3 is absolutely crazy.
Well, the question is,
Like-
okay, Toast, take out the travel spot, take out the all of that. On a neutral court, equal rest, what's this line? It's BYU minus 3.5, right?
Yeah, I would say be more comfortable 2.5 bet that, but I get your point. I'm not arguing with that. My only thing with UCF is that I feel like it's easy to look at their record and maybe think that they're not a good basketball team, but I just want to list the teams that UCF has lost to this year. Kansas on the road, Iowa State on the road, Houston at home, Arizona on the road, Kansas at home, Wisconsin on a neutral, and LSU in triple overtime. So when they do lose, they're losing to really, really good teams. It's like they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, including a team in Texas Tech that's a pretty decent basketball team. The spot, the number, everything told me UCF. I'm not going to bet this one just because I don't really think that Baylor or BYU is that great. I mean, they're only 5-4 in conference, and they beat Baylor in overtime. And we talked about this earlier that they probably should have lost that game. Then they beat Cincinnati, a Cincinnati team that I think is really criminally overrated. And not to mention Cincinnati had to fly into BYU for that game. Just a really bad spot for Cincinnati. They beat Colorado and Oklahoma State, Arizona State. So BYU hasn't really proven anything to me. Every time that they've stepped up in competition, they've lost. So, and especially you're getting them on the road, traveling across the country after a crazy game against Baylor. I hate the spot for BYU. So I lean UCF, but I'm not betting it.
Someone said the bounce house.
I love the bounce house. Minnesota dropped 2.5 points since we started this stream.
Minnesota too?
Yeah, they're down to 3.5.
So someone asked if there's an injury in this game. I mean, it is Saturday morning. There's a lot of action coming in. It wouldn't be crazy for a college basketball line to move 2 points at 10 a.m., 2 hours before tip. There's a lot of money coming in right now. So I don't know if it necessarily – in the Tennessee game, there was an injury. Ziegler was ruled out. But just because the line moves 2 points in a few hours, I wouldn't say that definitely means there's an injury. We've seen that. So
yeah, we've seen that a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of money.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Plus,
Especially
Minnesota and Washington don't exactly have great players anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
No reason to take shot at Minnesota and Washington like that. So in this game, Virginia Tech, Virginia, just heated rivalry, 2 hard-nosed ball clubs. Virginia Tech team total under 13.5. Yo, dead ass, true or false scoop. Virginia Tech's going to score 40 points in this game.
No, it might be 42-40.
Yeah, seriously. I don't think you can make this total low enough. You have 2 slow-paced teams. Virginia can play some defense. Neither team can score. I don't think 125 is low enough. I think it would still stay under this low-ass total. This is bad.
Yeah, I got to admit, there is not 1 ounce of me that wants to discuss this game.
Yeah, we could just.
I hate Virginia basketball. I don't like Virginia Tech basketball. It's not fun to watch. Both teams are terrible.
You hate defense?
Yeah, kind of.
He said,
yeah. Not. I mean, if either team had an offense too, that would help. But no.
Toast, anything you'd like to say about the shootout?
I would again, just simple handicapping 101. I would take the points with I would take the points for Virginia Tech. They've been bad on the road. They've been bad, but I mean, should Virginia be laying 4 points to anybody in a game that we don't even think is going to barely break 100 points? So under and plus the points if I had to bet it.
Next. Michigan State USC. Toast, you were talking about this game you mentioned this game twice last night, and the first thing you said when you woke up this morning was, what's the Michigan State line?
So true, too.
It's the first thing he said. Me and prop people were in here prep for the show. Toast walked in. He just woke it up. His hair was all fucked up. He walked in. He's like, what's the Michigan State line at? I swear to God. It's the first thing he said when he woke up. All right, so I assume you like something in it.
I really, really, really want to play USC here. Scoop, I'm curious to hear what you think about this, because is Michigan State really this good? Like, are they? Part of me, the reason that I keep on thinking about this game is because I made a rule a while ago: you cannot fade this Michigan State team, and they continue to fucking play well over and over again. And they just killed Minnesota, and now they got to go out west to this USC team that's kind of mediocre at best, but they're only laying 5.5. I mean, this should be an easy Sparty victory, right?
Yeah, I didn't. I would lean Michigan State. Michigan State has the best winning streak in the country. Obviously, USC coming off to that loss to UCLA. The good thing is they do get to stay at home. The bad thing is I think Michigan State should win this game pretty easily. Mainly because of their rebounding and scoring on the inside. They have a huge size advantage here. Michigan State is second in rebounding in the Big Ten. UCLA is not UCLA. USC is 13th. They're going to score a ton on the inside here. I mean, look what they did against Minnesota with the rebounding.
It's 4.5 now. Sorry,
40 to 20. It's okay. 40 to 22 on the glass. And plus their defense too. I mean, they're second in field goal percentage on the defense, third in scoring defense. I don't think this is going to go well for USC, who's 12th in scoring in the Big Ten. And plus, they can't hit a three to save their lives. I think they're 15th in the Big Ten in threes made per game. I just don't think they're going to score. Plus, on the other side, defensively, they're 15th in the Big Ten in scoring defense. They're 16th in field goal defense, 10th in three-point defense, 92nd defensive efficiency, 12th in turnover margin, 14th in scoring margin. They're a bad basketball team. I think Michigan State is kind of like I think they're overachieving right now. I think regression is going to come for them sometime soon. But they're also number one in conference play in offensive efficiency, offensive rebounding. USC just lost double digits at home to Wisconsin and Michigan. That neutral game against St. Mary's, I can't get over when they lost 71 to 35 or whatever it was. I just think USC is not a great team. They lost their last two at home against worse teams. Michigan State should boat race them, not a dog walk, a boat race. But yeah,
what's more brutal, a dog walk or a boat
walk
race?
is the most you can. It's just embarrassing. Boat race is like 10 or 11.
This line is now down to 4. 4.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't want to touch it.
Put USC up for me. Screw it. Clearly, they're taking USC money.
Yeah, all I could again, I'm in a position where I don't want to fade Sparty, but I do think that at times that I'm just not sure how bad USC is. I think that their defense is only going to continue to get better. I don't really put too much stock in the UCLA loss because UCLA has been playing really, really good basketball right now. I understand that this idea that UCLA is really bad because they lost their first 4 conference games or those 4 conference games in a row, but that was also a really, really bad spot for UCLA. They're traveling back across the country. Now that they're in somewhat of a regular schedule, UCLA looks very, very good. So you also have seen this USC team go on the road and beat Illinois, go on the road and beat Nebraska as well, which is not easy places to play. So again, I just don't think USC is as bad as they are. The fact that this number is 4 makes me just lose my mind. It's this game and the Michigan game, or I'm sorry, the Minnesota game that I wanted to take the points with both of these teams. They were both 5.5-ish, and now they're down, and I'm really irritated at myself.
Give me USC. I'm down to fade Trevor and Scoop. Texas Tech, Houston, dog walk of the day?
Too many injury concerns.
It's Texas Tech is injured.
Yes. Texas Tech has an injury issue. Darion Williams, who's probably one of their better players, who didn't play last game against TCU.
And they didn't cover.
He didn't really look good the previous games that he played either, but if he doesn't play, I mean, you're just taking out essentially the best player.
Is he the best offensive player?
Probably not the best offensive player. That would be JT Toppin for them, but definitely, I mean, between him and Toppin are pretty much the straws that stirs the drink, as I like to say. So I would watch this. I have a hard time. I really want to fade Houston coming off of the huge double overtime win against Kansas. Then they go another road trip to West Virginia. Now they got to fly all the way back home to Texas and play this Texas Tech team that's been pretty damn good this year. If Williams was healthy, this would be an all-out bet for Texas Tech. But the fact that I don't know if he's going to play or not makes me kind of stay a little bit. I definitely lean Texas Tech here. I really hate the spot for Houston.
No, I'm the other way. I'm thinking about betting Houston.
I fully hate this spot for Houston.
Good. Bet Texas Tech then.
I did. I bet it. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me to lay 10.5 to a quality team, even though Houston's at home. Houston has played 4 Big 12 teams at home this season so far. They were Utah, West Virginia, TCU, and BYU. All 4 of those home teams. I know the margin of victory came out to 25 points even. That's rough, I know, to come into Houston to play. But now Texas Tech is way better than all 4 of those teams. They only have 4 losses on the year, Texas Tech. All 4 losses are combined 11 points. And funny enough, all 4 of those losses came at home. So Texas Tech has never lost on the road yet. I would take Texas Tech here with 10.5. JT Toppin is a really solid player. It's a really solid team. Offensively, these two teams are really similar. Statistically, they're about the same. Defense, obviously, Houston is number 1 in defensive efficiency, but Texas Tech isn't that bad. They're 31st. This game is going to be really slow. Both play extremely slow paces. Tech is 292nd. Houston is 360th. I do hope Darian Williams is back for the Tech. He's a huge piece to that team. And take some of the defense off the top and down low for sure. But yeah, Texas Tech is 3-1 against the spread in true road games. They're great shooters. Their effective field goal percentage is 56%, which is 11th best in college basketball. Obviously, they're not going to shoot that well here, I wouldn't think, but they match up fairly well with Houston. I know Houston is a great offensive rebounding team. So is Texas Tech. Texas Tech is in every single game. They haven't shown anything that makes me think they can't compete with these upper teams. So I'm going to take them on the road here. Houston is also 1-2 against the spread against ranked teams, so I understand they're a dominant defense, they're a dominant home team, but they haven't played a good team at home yet, so I'm taking Texas Tech.
Next game.
And it's also like somebody mentioned in the comments that Texas Tech won't even make it to 60, which might be the case, but it's not like
well, I mean the total for the game is 128.
I was just about to yeah, exactly. It's not like Houston's putting up crazy numbers every night. I mean, they scored 63 against West Virginia, they scored 70 against Utah, 69 against UCF, 70 against the other one against West Virginia, 65 against TCU. Again, it's not like Texas is just putting up 80 points every night. If you guys can hear me breathing, I'm sorry. I'm like literally trying to hold my breath. I don't know.
That was earlier.
This is what I do, Toast. After I'm done talking, I go like this. So my face, or you can lean back.
Because Toast isn't that cool.
Your voice sounds better. Your voice sounds better when you're close to the mic, but obviously they can hear you breathing. So after I'm done talking, I go like this. So they can't. But anyway, North Carolina Duke. North Carolina
I hate him
Duke.
so much sometimes.
So obviously, you look at this game, you don't want to lay 13.5 points in a rivalry game, right? But you have to ask yourself, what happens if one side of the rivalry is river trash? Like this North Carolina team.
That's good analysis.
This team sucks, dude. This team sucks. Pittsburgh played terrible. They were trying to give North Carolina a win, and they were like literally incapable of taking
That's kind
it.
of true, though.
Avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan. That's good advice.
Duke minus 13.5, I guess. I haven't bet this one. I'm down 2 though. I think this is going to be a dog walking.
Yeah, North Carolina is complete trash. It's just hard to pick Duke though when all these games are super close. It sucks because I want to watch this game, but it is probably the best college basketball rivalry. Both of these teams are just completely opposite right now.
Why can't you watch the game?
Because it's just Duke. Kyle's probably right. Though Duke struggled the last 2 games. Wake Forest, they were down late in that game. NC State, Duke was losing at half. It's not like Carolina's much better. Carolina was beating Pitt, and there was a 14-2 run from Pitt to lose that game by 8. They're constantly going through stretches of just not scoring. I would take North Carolina here. Somehow, maybe this is an indictment of the ACC. They're still second in points in the ACC this year. Second in field goal percentage, 13th in three-point percentage. There's no real long shooting there, but really they're an average defense. They play strong defense and fall apart too. They are a really inconsistent team. It really is a bad matchup for Carolina. I agree. Duke is going to out-rebound them. They're going to hit a ton of threes. RJ Davis is trash. That being said, this is a lot of points for a rivalry game, and the biggest rivalry game. Duke, they're on a 14-game winning streak. Hubert Davis is not a good coach. I'm sorry, but they're 2-1 at Cameron Indoor against North Carolina. Let's be real. RJ Davis is going to have a good game. Ian Jackson as well. They're going to need to shoot well, in order for them to have a good game. And when Ian Jackson is on, North Carolina is in every game. Carolina's going to run fast. It's all they pretty much do. They have a decent amount on fast break points. And with Duke's defense, you are really going to have to get some easy points here on the break. This rivalry game just really isn't that predictable, but I would also say Carolina is kind of on par with Wake and NC State. Both of them play Duke strong, especially NC State at Cameron Indoor. I know North Carolina is incredibly thin. They don't have a good roster at all, but they do have flashes, and Duke has had some lulls lately. So 13.5, yeah, I'm going to take Carolina.
No, bad bet. Yeah, the logo for my pick says Kentucky. That's because the script searches the text for the abbreviation, and it's finding UK in Duke. So I got to fix that because it's scanning it, and it's finding UK before it finds Duke because the word doesn't finish. So I got to fix that. So yeah, I'm on Kentucky and Duke here. Go ahead, Toast.
I guess I would lean over here personally. It's just really hard for me to lay it here with Duke. Again, I'm not trying to make a case.
Wax is on the under. Just so you know.
Right on. I didn't bet it, but I feel like, yes, North Carolina has been bad. Like, again, there's no debating that. Losing to Stanford at home and then losing on the road to Wake and then taking Boston College, taking you to overtime. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. But I think that we could all admit if there is one game that North Carolina is going to get up for, it's going to be the Duke game. So I can see RJ Davis and Cardo and Ian Jackson and stuff having a good night. The issue is even matchup wise, Duke should be able to win this game really easily. I mean, just on size alone, I mean, Flagg 6'9", Knipple 6'7", Proctor 6'6", Sion James 6'6". I mean, every single person on the floor for Duke. I mean, they're the biggest team in the country, and North Carolina is one of the smallest teams in the country. So even North Carolina is going to have to be really making a lot of shots here tonight, because if they're not making their shots, they're probably not going to get a lot of rebounds. But I just feel like that's a lot of points in a rivalry game. I also feel like it's kind of high for a reason. And with all that being said about North Carolina playing up because it's their Super Bowl and stuff, maybe Duke has been kind of sleepwalking a little bit themselves. They really haven't played much competition either. Maybe they're waiting for a game to get up for. And if that's the case, Duke could win this game by 25 points, and it wouldn't surprise me. So I would lean over personally. I just feel like it's Duke, it's North Carolina. We're going to see some fireworks, but yeah, we'll see. I'd rather just watch this game and try to bet it live if possible.
Next, we got a good one up next. UCONN Marquette. Now, there's no question why Marquette's laying this number. UConn's looked ugly for most of this year. We've seen some bad performances. Shit, we saw the Blue Demons beating up on UConn for about 75% of that game before UConn got their shit together. This is not the same UConn team. This is not an elite Big East team right now, at least. And Marquette is. So I understand the line, but Marquette's kind of UConn's little brother, man. And take it from somebody that has a little brother. I mean, they just don't win very often.
Like, did you seriously just throw your brother under the bus?
He'll tell you that. Like, my brother, he doesn't beat me in anything. He'll be the first to tell you that too. Marquette is UConn's little brother, so I think they're gonna win. Because I don't care if Marquette's better. It's little brother syndrome, man. It's a thing.
My brother
That was a fucking crazy.
Your older or
example.
younger brother?
older brother.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and he beat you.
I beat him in Chelly, NHL '94 for the Sega Genesis.
Ah, that's sick, dude.
And Triple Play '98, I was really good at that against him. So.
Give me UConn.
But he used to beat me with the fence with nails in it. Like, he just tried to chase me around the yard with it. So that was a troubling time in my life.
No, not the. I want Big Brother money line.
No.
Big Brother money line plus 242.
There's rumblings that Mr. McNeely is back for UConn. I personally think it's a head fake by Hurley, just so Marquette has to try to prepare for that. If McNeely did play, obviously I think UConn would be the side. That's not even a question. You're getting your best offensive player back. I still kind of lean UConn here. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like this number is kind of high here. I don't believe in the little big brother syndrome type of situation, but
You're not buying into the little brother, big brother
not
philosophy?
necessarily. And I'll talk to your brother later to make sure that all your statements are accurate. But
Okay.
Fact checking you.
Find him on Facebook.
but at the same time, like, I do feel like this is a pretty big step up in competition for Marquette. I mean, Marquette's been playing really well, but against who? I mean, Butler, Villanova, Seton Hall. They lost to Xavier, DePaul, Georgetown. Creighton looks like a decent win, but that was at home. We like Creighton much more at home. Providence, I mean, that's a decent win because it's at the Dunk, I guess, but still Providence isn't a good basketball team. So again, has Marquette been playing really well? Yeah, but they haven't really played anybody good. Not that UConn's the same UConn team that we know and love, but they're still pretty damn good. So I would lean UConn on the points alone, and if McNeely plays, you're going to be sitting there with like a gold mine because this line probably drops to 4 if he's ruled in.
Scoop, are you on little brother or big brother?
No, it's going to be nice next week when UConn isn't ranked. First time in a while for them. I think Marquette can cover here. This isn't UConn's. UConn isn't big brother. It's like little sisters of the poor this year. I mean, UConn just hasn't shown me anything lately. This thing.
I agree.
Thinks they can compete with Marquette. This team has struggled every single game pretty much all year. They're not covering games against Xavier, Butler, Nova, Providence, and those teams are miles away from Marquette. They were even down at home, like Kyle said, to DePaul at half. Didn't cover that one either. They've actually only covered one game in their last 6. They're 2-8 against the spread their last 10. This UConn team is broken. Caravan hasn't been Caravan from last year because he doesn't have a supporting cast to take the pressure off of him. And even then, he was 1-14 against DePaul, and that's DePaul. Joplin's going to lock him up. Liam McNeely stinks. I'm sorry. He's a game-time decision as it is. Like
what?
McNeely's fucking terrible.
Scoop, you've lost it.
McNeely. Oh my God, McNeely. Yeah, he's great. Solo ball's been all right.
He's a 6'7" freshman scoring 20 points a game in the Big East. But yeah, he's so terrible.
Yeah,
God forbid somebody gets hurt.
Tell him to stay healthy.
God forbid he gets
hurt.
hurt.
Who are you defending UConn?
That's my point. Shit. That's how blasphemy you sound right now. Saying that Liam McNeely is not a good basketball player. Get out. Send the mail, Scoop.
Garbage. Marquette just has better players all around. Stevie Mitchell is better than McNeely, and he's been great lately. He's having career games. Cam Jones is still the best guard in the Big East. Marquette is winning these Big East games by an average of 12 points. They're just rolling right now. Marquette's holding opponents to under 70 points 3 of the last 4 games. They're going to happen again. UConn is fucking awful. There's just no part of me that wants me to take a struggling UConn game on the road. Kyle went to college there. That should prove enough already that what we can say about these teams. These lines, though, they are getting to the point where you have to take UConn. It's not going to be here. Marquette rolls by 15.
I cannot believe you just compared Liam McNeely to Stevie Mitchell.
Stevie Mitchell.
Get out.
Guess who's gonna have more points today if they both stood up?
Probably Stevie. I don't even know.
Oh yeah, what do you know? Probably Stevie.
I don't even know that.
Probably Stevie.
First of all, McNeely hasn't played in a bunch, but Stevie Mitchell with his freaking 3 points versus Seton Hall, 7 points.
I didn't even know you guys felt this passionately about this game.
I don't, but the fact that he made these statements is just ridiculous.
Bet UConn.
Texas A&M, South Carolina.
Put your money up.
I said last night, South Carolina fake sharp play of the day.
I've already bet South Carolina, so go ahead and put
fake
up
sharp play of the day. Texas A&M comfortably. Put up at A&M for me. They're both taking South Carolina plus the points because I bet you one of them uses the word feisty or pesky at home. South Carolina.
No, I was just going to use the word good.
I don't refer to the Cox as feisty.
Texas A&M minus 5.5.
Scoop, I know that the Cox are your favorite team, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, Cox.
I didn't even see the shirt.
Cox prime after dark Cox today. Smack me with it. I'm taking them again. I mean, listen, I didn't bet them. I actually did place a bet on the under here, even at 133. They're 0-8 in conference. I don't care. Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State at home. Last 3 games, they covered in all 3 of them. This team isn't good. They're not at all. They're a pretty terrible offensive team for sure. But listen, they're always competing at home. Texas A&M isn't a good offense either. They're pretty bad as well. They're 30% in 3-point shooting, 42 42nd percentage, and wow, I can't talk. They're in field goal percentage. They're 310th in effective field goal percentage. This team goes cold a lot. Besides Taylor and Phelps, who also struggled, this team has no offense. And I know South Carolina isn't much better. They're 259th in effective field goal percentage. This is going to be a defense against defensive battle here. A&M is 7th in defensive rating. South Carolina is 39th. There's going to be a lot of bad shooting. Both teams play really slow, 220 to 277 in pace. besides Murray Boyles for South Carolina, they don't have much in the way of scoring either. So with A&M having one of the better defenses, this game's going to get pretty ugly. If I was taking the sides, I would obviously roll on a full cock party here, though. I'm not fading them at home when they're competed in each and every game. So, but yeah, I would definitely take the under, and I would definitely roll with South Carolina at home.
Smack me with it.
Yeah, I bet South Carolina last night as well. I can't really add much to what Scoop just said, but I 100% agree. You take out the Alabama game, this team has been very, very good at home. Regardless of what you feel about the Auburn game and them losing Broom, they were still playing well in that game, and they lost that game by 3. They lost to Florida by 1 at home. They lost to Mississippi State in overtime by 5 at home, and now they play a Texas A&M team that, again, I will agree that they're a pretty good basketball team, but I don't really trust them on the road as much. I mean, they had a 1-point win against Ole Miss on the road. They lost to Texas on the road. They lost to Kentucky on the road. Is South Carolina as good as Kentucky? Absolutely not. But at the same time, I mean, the Oklahoma win isn't really impressive, and that was only a 2-point win. So Texas A&M going on the road and winning a game by 2 full possessions, or if not more, is just kind of crazy to me against a South Carolina team that continues to play well. And I don't really feel like they have anybody that matches up well against Colin Murray Boyles. So, and again, with a total that's low like this at 133, then I agree with Scoop that it's probably going to go under. I'll take the two pole possessions with South Carolina. Jesus.
Next. The next one, my bet can be described with a simple sentence. Calipari owns Rupp. Calipari owns Rupp. And that means Arkansas prop beaver.
Same here, prop beaver.
Trevor's on Arkansas money line.
Put it for me too, prop beaver.
Hogs across the board. Hogs up. Calipari owns Rupp. Does anything else need to be said? Calipari owns Rupp.
I gotta say, part of it is that Trevor has been talking about this game for like 2 weeks now. So part of me is like just kind of tailing Trevor in a little bit, just because he's
on the money line, bro.
I know, trust me, I know he's been talking about this spot
money line right
for
now?
2 weeks. I respect the absolute hell out of it. If there is one game that Arkansas is going to get up for, it's definitely going to be this game. There's no question about that. So.
By the way, the money line, you can get a plus 440 on DraftKings right now. Calipari owns Rupp.
And again, Kentucky's been. I love this Kentucky team. Obviously, we know I've named them the Avengers. But if you do want to poke some holes at them, I mean, they have won games at home. They're scoring a whole bunch of points at home, sure, but they also give up a lot of points at home too. So, I mean, like that Florida win, they won that game 106-100. I mean, giving up 100 points, you're not going to win very many games. I mean, they gave up 85 to Louisville at home. I mean, the Texas A&M game, I mean, was kind of close for a while as well. So, again, Arkansas is absolutely terrible. I'm not trying to make a case that they're not, but you're getting Kentucky off a huge win as a dog in Tennessee at home and not are on the road, and now they got to come 3 days later and play an Arkansas team with Mississippi on deck, which is like a big game for them, especially in the SEC standings. So you're going to get Calipari's best fastball, and I just feel like this game's going to be a little bit more of a dogfight than anything. We'll see what happens. This is a little bit more gambling than anything for me, but I do think
this ain't gambling. This is winning.
I think that Arkansas matches up kind of well with them as far as height-wise and stuff. I don't think they're going to get out-rebounded too well or too bad. We just need some Boogie Flan, DJ Wagner, some magic here tonight. So we'll see what happens. But I did bet Arkansas last night.
People are saying Arkansas seems easy here, bro. Easy. What? Kentucky's like so much better than Arkansas. Like this is a sharp line. I think this number should be like 14.5, 15.
Boogie Flan's out for the year, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So Calipari coming out party. I'm still gonna grab Arkansas. I know they're not a solid team, but. I mean, but like both of them said, factor here coming back to Kentucky to play. Kids are going to be fired up. They're winning for coach. I know they're 1-4 against ranked teams, 1-6 in the SEC, 1-7 against Quad 1 teams. They're also 5-14-1 against the spread, but pretty big underdogs here. I think they can cover this number. Duro has been extremely solid, and I feel like there's a mismatch there for him. Like Toast said, Kentucky doesn't have a player that can really shut him down. He's a huge wing player with height. That'll help them on the defensive side too. I know Arkansas doesn't have a solid offense, but they have been great defensively. They only give up 68 points a game. They're great at help defense. They get about 8 steals a game, and they're 6th in the country in blocks. Like Toast said, they're a big team. I know Boogie Flint is out for the year, so that's going to be a blow for Arkansas. But Carter Knox has been steadily improving. Kyle, that is Kevin Knox's brother, all-time Knicks legend.
Nick's great.
Yeah, so and he can get to the line a lot. He has been, and really Kentucky's depth has taken a hit. Lamont Butler, Kira Krisa, Andrew Carr, their key bench players are all going to be out here. So Arkansas does have a better bench here. They have key players moving in and out. Ivicic is stretching opposing defenses, protecting the rim on the other end. I know Kentucky is definitely a far better team. I know they're 11-1 against the spread at home. But I think Arkansas should keep this one close and within striking distance. So let's go Calipari.
And the people in the comments are correct. Pinnacle just dropped this line to 9.5. Ooh. You love to see it. I got a plus 11.5 last night. Feels good going down. Next game.
Last game.
Game of the night.
No, there's one more. It just doesn't.
There's two more. There's a Texas LSU game after that we added at the end. So there's two more games. Zag's up. I hate to say it. I hate Gonzaga. I think they're a shitty program. They're overrated, and I would love to back St. Mary's, who I think is the type of program that does everything right. Outstanding coaching staff there, the Bennett brothers. I would take St. Mary's over Gonzaga 7 days a week. The problem is spot-wise, you love it for Gonzaga, and I got it at -1. It's now 2.5. I think Toast got Gonzaga at +1. So yeah, this line's been on the move. All one-sided action here. Everyone's taking Gonzaga. I think it's the right side. St. Mary's gets him in the tournament, though. We'll see you in March.
I'm actually curious. Everybody knows that I'm.
No, you go, Tuss.
Well, I was just gonna say. Everybody's gonna say that I continue to pick Gonzaga. I haven't bet Gonzaga in like 2 months. I haven't even looked at them since that. I can't even remember what the debacle was. UCLA, maybe? I don't remember. But I do think that they're in a very good spot right now. I think, and I said this last night, I think that giving up 103 points to Santa Clara at home after losing on the road to Oregon State, where Oregon State's played very well on the road or at home this year. So, but again, giving up 97 and 103 back-to-back nights, I think that Gonzaga hit the proverbial switch because now they've came back in back-to-back games. Again, Portland and Oregon State are nothing compared to St. Mary's. Not trying to make that case, but the Gonzaga defense is back to what we've seen them play at the level that we've seen them play at here in the past. I don't feel like those two games that they lost in conference are indicative of how this Gonzaga team plays, because keep in mind they held Portland to 50 points. Loyola Marymount to 68 points. So again, did they have a little bit of a lull there part of the season? Yes, but again, St. Mary's is coming off a game in Santa Clara where it was tied at half, and they went on a 30-0 run. If you take back a little bit time before halftime, they went on a 30-0 run. I just don't know if they're going to be able to have the same. I'm sure they're going to be up for Gonzaga. That's sure. There's no question about that, but St. Mary's has a very good defense, but Gonzaga's defense isn't rated that much worse than St. Mary's, and Gonzaga's offense is much better than St. Mary's offense. And like I talked about last night, St. Mary's gets a lot of team with their size. They're very big.
Hold on. Did you say Gonzaga's defense isn't that much worse than St. Mary's? Are you crazy, dude? It's so much worse. You're making me want to switch sides here.
Are you kidding me?
St. Mary's defense is so much better than Gonzaga's. I don't even follow the conference like that.
What are you talking about? I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that.
Oh, Gonzaga's the best defense in the country.
I didn't. I said that Gonzaga is not that far behind St. Mary's is what I said. That's all I was trying to make.
Maybe like 100 spots behind.
No, maybe like 15 or 20 in the country, but we'll see. But regardless, my point being is that St. Mary's can really bully teams with their size and especially how they play slow. Not only can Gonzaga speed this game up a little bit, but they do have size. EK 6'9", Braden Huff 6'10", Ben Gregg 6'10". Ayayi, who's Scoop's favorite player, is starting to finally play well here. 15 points last night, or 15 points the previous night, our previous game, and 20 points against Portland. I think Ayayi has a pretty decent night here tonight. I think that Gonzaga has the size to match up with them, and then Gonzaga in the point guard play absolutely trumps them. Whether it's Ross or Malanciunas or whatever you want to call it, Nembhard is going to be able to run circles around those guys. So I think this is a very, very good spot for Gonzaga here. And I don't want to hear shit about me being a Gonzaga homer because I've done nothing but shit on this team for like 2 months now. This is like the first time I've played them. I'm pretty sure since the UConn game. So yeah, I'm on Gonzaga here.
You better not say a fucking word.
Thank you, Beaver.
So yeah, I agree with the pick. trying to tell me Gonzaga's defense is good is kind of crazy.
I said they're not as bad as St. Mary's. The difference is not as big a gap as everybody makes it out to be
Gap's
because
huge.
of 2 bad games.
Gap's huge. St. Mary's is just a top-class defense. Scoop?
I know Gonzaga always gives St. Mary's a hard time, which is why Toast is on them. He's also a homer, so that's another reason.
I hate you.
Really, though, it's not false. St. Mary's does struggle against them, but also this was up until last year. St. Mary's won 2 of their last 3 games. I am on the wagon that is St. Mary's. Get these garbage Bulldogs out of here. St. Mary's is more physical. They're going to slow this game down to a crawl, like Toast says. That's actually true. 6th slowest team in basketball. It is an absolute treat to watch them play. They'll wait until 2 seconds to find a shot clock to do anything with the ball. But yeah, 9-0 again in the conference. Easily the superstars of the WCC. 2-0 in quad 1 games. I know St. Mary's hasn't played a top 25 team yet.
In a month,
But Gonzaga isn't that either. So St. Mary's is going to dominate
They're
the glass
10
on
and Ken
both sides. First in rebounding margin in the country. They get an open look down low when there's a few seconds on the shot clock, and they play really solid defense, just miles ahead of Gonzaga's defense. They're also 15th in the nation for turnovers forced per game, 55 points per game on defense in conference play. No team has scored more than 75 points against them this season. Mitchell Saxon is going to dominate Zaga down low. They're not going to slow them down. Let's not forget that Gonzaga gave up 200 points combined in back-to-back losses against Oregon State and Santa Clara 2 weeks ago.
Sounds like you should be doing
they played Portland. Oh, Portland's a fucking
line.
solid team.
The Sea Dogs?
Trash. Gonzaga is 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. Gales is 11-1 at home this season. I am just taking the team that is a better all-around team. Better defense, better rebounding, better team, better coach, better student body, better arena, better city, better state.
Can't say I disagree with any of that. I like the spot for Gonzaga.
It's also not very fair. They're in Moraga. It's like Malibu. That's not.
That's true.
It's gorgeous.
That's not fair.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
That's
Next
not
game.
fair.
Last game. And go ahead, put the poll up. Everyone's going to click on Texas. Bunch of squares in the comments. This is an LSU spot. People don't understand this Tiger program. Go Tiger. You want to be a real Tiger? This is a very simple rule. It's a very simple rule. You follow these rules, you'll win betting Rodney Terry basketball. Rodney Terry's the head coach of Texas, for those of you playing the home game. If there's a minus next to his name, you bet the other side. If there's a plus next to his name, you bet Rodney Terry. This is a system I live by. I live my life by it. There's a minus next to Rodney Terry's name here. You take LSU. LSU looked feisty in their last game. Looked hella feisty against Auburn. Should have covered the plus 12.5. In fact, I feel like I was robbed on that missed cover.
No, you were robbed. There's no question about that. There's no question
I was
about
absolutely
that.
robbed. LSU's looking feisty at home. Texas with a minus against a feisty team. Give me feisty plus 1.5.
Poo feisty plus 1.5.
Really feisty.
I lean Texas here. I'm not going to bet it because, unfortunately, I do agree with Kyle that it's a completely different situation laying points with Texas, even if it's only 1.5. But I do agree with him. The issue that I have with that is that Texas has been like my little bit of my money maker. I mean, since they
When they have a plus next to their name.
and that, again, 100% agree with you. I mean, but I've been essentially betting them every game since they covered against Auburn, and I don't think I've lost one because I only didn't bet them against Florida. But Texas continues to pay me out. But second game in a row on the road for them. They've only had 2 days to prep for this. They just played on Wednesday, so 3 days. Sorry, excuse me.
He's on Texas.
And yeah, sorry, rock paper.
He doesn't have the fortitude to take LSU.
But the reason I say Texas is because they've been making me so much money. I understand the LSU spot, and I can understand if you're betting LSU, and I wouldn't argue that because LSU hasn't looked terrible. I mean, losing to 7 points to Alabama on the road is actually a really good performance, especially for an LSU team. And then coming home and playing Auburn, yeah, they turned the ball over a lot. They lost by 13 points, but that game, I think if anybody, I think we all watched this. A lot of people watched that game. That game was a lot closer than 14 points. Auburn kind of blew away with it at the end. So I can see the LSU side. I just can't pick it because Texas has been so good to me. And maybe, just maybe, and I don't believe this in my head, but maybe, just maybe, Rodney Terry's figuring things out as a coach. I don't believe that, but they've been playing really good I truly believe that Texas has been playing really, really good basketball since the beginning of January. So only losing to Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, and Mississippi. That's pretty damn impressive. So we'll see what they can do like I said, in a bad spot in back-to-back road games.
Yeah, I don't really have much. I just know that I would lean LSU just because LSU feistiness is second, and
Good
Texas
pick.
feistiness is 182nd. So
Whenever you have a feistiness discrepancy like that,
it's a big feistiness discrepancy. No, but I mean Texas is 2-3 on the road. I know they've been, they've played harder teams than that. Obviously A&M, Florida, Ole Miss, but. LSU is 10-2 on the season. I don't know. I would take LSU.
all right, let's do a quick community parlay. Hit the song. I'm going to do it, Prop Beaver, because I have all the games up.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We come unite, making a parlay. Yeah.
Community parlay. Let me load it up. We're going to do this is going to be rapid fire polls because the game's starting in 10 minutes. Oh, we actually have time, but I'm going to do it. It's going to be quick polls.
All right.
So I have your finger on the trigger.
I've prepared an underdog for those of you interested in the NBA. There was a massive amount of college games, so we didn't prepare any NBA games. But these are my two props for today. Actually, let me switch that out. Jalen, for those of you interested, and Kyle would probably be interested in this news, Jalen Williams is out. So that sucked for your over, Kyle. Jalen Williams is out.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, no big deal. Just one of the most productive players in the league. I have Lou Dort higher than 2.5 3-pointers made. That's excellent for us in the Discord. We got that at plus 170, so now that's about even money. I still love this quite a bit. Usage is going to be there. Excellent matchup. So we got Lou Dort higher than 2.5 3-pointers made, and then Rudy Gobert higher than 23.5 points or rebounds. It's the Wizards, folks. Self-explanatory. Mike Rice.
Say less.
Yeah, the underdog promo of the day is Travis Kelce. Higher than half total yards. Probably going to be that the entire week up until the Super Bowl. So you can replace one of those legs. You can add a third leg if you want. Boost that payout up. If you want to become an underdog customer, you can in one of these lovely yellow states right here. Yellow like that E. Shipley cheese on the tomahawk. Just use the promo code BET, B-E-T, 3 letters, and you could get a deposit match up to $1,000. BET for the promo code.
Prop Beaver, first leg of the community parlay is St. John's money line.
Okay.
Yeah, Stalker is plus 3 units to start the day.
You love
Very
to see
nice.
it, Scoop.
Love to see it for the Sauce Network.
What was first leg? Sorry.
St. John's money line.
Okay.
Trevor Vandenbosch wants everybody to know that Detroit Mercy is the freest bet on the board today.
No, I'm on Green Bay there. Just a feisty team.
You really love Doug Gottlieb.
I'm on Green Bay there. I'm playing the feistiness.
Also, I haven't looked at these this morning because I wrote them down because they weren't posted last night. But if you guys wanted to add legs to your underdog thing, I really like Jeremy Fears from Oklahoma, and Edge could come from Baylor to score some points today. So their points overs wouldn't be too bad for me. I don't know what they are, but they should be all right.
So the second leg is Clemson money line.
Also, let me know if we're going to the next game.
I'll let you know. All right, cast your votes on the third leg. It's the heart of a champion. You know, those are the words to the actual song.
Isn't that?
Yeah, it's the yes, but it's an actual song that they took.
Nelly?
Oh, I think Nelly might have done like a remake of it, but the actual song goes, "It's a heart of a champion." That's the actual song. You would know that if you knew ball.
I don't.
It's a Red Rocks something.
It's the heart of a champion. I'll never forget that now.
Dude, that's the real song. All right, and the last leg of the community parlay. Cast your votes. There it is. Poll posted. The third leg is Louisville money line. What is the last leg,
You guys
Cash?
are going all out for these money lines, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Minus 1,200, minus 800.
Yeah, risk takers. And the last leg is Baylor money line.
Well, Baylor will get you some.
Someone shout out the Baylor money line. Yep. Someone shout out the odds, and we'll call it. Everyone enjoy your Saturday. Oh, you got it, Prop Beaver?
He said somebody shout out.
That's why I was taking time to type the thing on the screen.
Oh, okay. Someone in the comments want to shout the odds out?
It's gonna take forever for me to find.
Damn it, nobody's got it.
Bjorn.
All right,
I
plus
got
223. Plus 223 is the odds on that community parlay. Everyone, enjoy your Saturday. Thanks for watching. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me.